Community conversation today. We're joined by Dr. Donna Broshek, a neuropsychologist at UVA Health. She's sitting down with Casey.
All right, thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. And we are talking today about Brain Injury Awareness Month, the month of March. What would you say are some of the most common causes of brain injuries?
Yeah, well, we hear so much about sports concussions. Actually, the most common causes are falls, motor vehicle collisions, intimate partner violence, other forms of assault, and military service. And in fact, about half of all people who are hospitalized with a traumatic brain injury is because of a fall.
Wow, and that's probably surprising to a lot of people because you're right,
Absolutely.
You do think sports a lot because that's what we hear all the time. Are all brain injuries the same?
Definitely not. So there's a very wide spectrum of injury with traumatic brain injury. So the most mild form is called a concussion, which is what most of us are familiar with.
Right.
And it can range up to moderate and severe traumatic brain injuries. And more severe injuries typically include things like skull fractures, bleeding into the brain, and can be quite a severe injury.
Yeah, so there are a variety of different kinds. Would you say people typically recover from brain injuries?
So most people recover exceptionally well from concussions and other forms of mild traumatic brain injury. And I have seen remarkable recovery in some of my patients who've had a moderate and severe traumatic brain injury. But some of those individuals have a very severe brain injury, and they may have lifelong behavioral and cognitive challenges, and they may need support and assistance for the rest of their life.
Right. What services and care would you say that UVA Health can provide to patients who have experienced a brain injury of any kind?
So we are very fortunate. We have exceptionally skilled providers in the emergency department, so they can help figure out if somebody's had a concussion or a mild traumatic brain injury. And if somebody's had a moderate or severe traumatic brain injury, we have exceptionally skilled neurosurgeons and trauma surgeons who save their lives and retain as much ability as possible. And developmental pediatrics is extensively skilled with kids who have traumatic brain injuries, and our neuropsychology and neurology service also provide services for those who've had a brain injury.
That's amazing. We're so fortunate to have all that right here in our community. Anything else you want to add that you think people should know about before we go?
So probably two things. One is we do also have a lot of expertise with sports concussion and recreational concussion, so it's important for people to make sure they have the latest information around that. And also we have a really important local agency, Bridgeline, that provides a lot of support to individuals who've had more severe injuries. And so that's an important resource locally as well.
That's great. And before we go, I know a lot of people kind of struggle with knowing when to go into the doctor. You know, if they hit their head, if they bump their head, some people wonder, you know, if they're kind of making too big of a deal about things. When should people come in to see a doctor?
Sure. So if the concussion is marked by having a confusion, alteration in consciousness. So anytime somebody hits their head and they really feel woozy, out of sorts, they develop a headache, feel dizzy, they can check in with their primary care doctor. If there's anything like a seizure or your pupils are not the same size, or there's nausea and vomiting, then you want to go to the emergency department and get checked out.
All right, great to know. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep, we'll have you back soon. And Steve, back to you.